Welcome back into Studio 5. So sooner or later dawns on every couple that same little conflict that crops up, just maybe in a little different circumstance or a different setting. But today, Dr. Matt Townsend helps to throw a ringer at the rut of recurring problems. And the key to this relationship rescue is to switch the focus from the issues to the possibilities. And with that one shift, he promises it will help even the toughest relationship challenge. Then again, my mom always told me never trust a man in an elephant tie.
You know what? Your mom is brilliant. I've met your mom.
I like your tie.
And she's right. You like it? Thanks.
I like your tie. All right, so is that fair that the couples who land in your office, it's really the same trip that they're taking every time?
See, remember, there's some things couples can never fix. They're unfixable, right? Like who your in-laws are, right? That's who you married, right? But most things you can fix. The problem is we get so caught up on kind of the sour, nasty, horrible side that we don't ever go to the honey, sweet, beautiful side. We focus more on the problem than really what we're trying to get to, the solution.
See, but I think a lot of women who are listening to this would say, but Matt, I'm really positive. I'm an optimistic person. I can see the sunny side on any situation. So what trips us up then exactly?
Well, part of it is survival. And what happens is when we don't have something that we want, then we want to point it out. So that I don't want. I know I don't want that. Like, quit doing that. Or why don't you come home? You're always ornery. You're always grumpy. You're always frustrated. Why are you always mad at the kids? So we point out what we don't want in the argument instead of pointing out what we do want. So what I'm not talking about just being positive or negative. It's kind of about focusing on what you want. Whichever one you focus on, problem or solution, you're going to grow. The more time you spend talking about the problem, we never do anything fun together. We never have time together. You never talk to me. Whenever we bring up 20 examples of that, you're simultaneously telling me what you do want. And what you do want is I want you to be more with me. I want you to talk to me more. I want the positivity like I saw yesterday. So when I say focus more on the honey than the vinegar, there are a million things, past, present, and future, that have worked in our relationship that could solve this problem we're stuck on. But we don't focus on the positives. We tend to focus and obsess on the negative, but it only begets more negative.
So with this cycle can come the either-or mentality, in other words, an ultimatum. How do you feel about that?
You got to lose it. Lose the my way or the highway. The minute it's your way or my way on an idea that we've been fighting about for years, the minute we do that, we've already polarized it, and we've basically left it with just two options, okay? When you've only got two options, you're kind of in trouble. There are 500 ways to solve a problem, and the minute it's either your way or my way, we're down to two, when we really need to leave it open as much as we can. Steven Spielberg, there's a really cool story by David Nevin in a book that he wrote. I got to get the name of it right. It's Not About the Shark is the name of the book. Steven Spielberg spent a ton of money to build the shark for Jaws, focused on the shark, thought the key was that mechanical shark. That's the key. That was the key. All of his focus on the shark. Eventually, though, during the shooting, the shark broke down. And the shark started to look bloated and gross in the water. So he couldn't make it about the shark. But what he realized was, if you take your eye off of that, instead of it having to be about the shark, then he just started putting the shark halfway up in the water. And that made it even more ominous. And then he could allow John Williams to create some music, couple notes. Those two notes. And that changed everything. And then he allowed the actors to be actors. And he created fear 100 different ways than a mechanical shark could have done it.
All stemming from him being able to let go of his original idea.
That's right. You can't be stuck on it's my way or the highway. Instead of it being you or me, it's got to be and. Or it's got to be like a new idea. What's the new idea we could come up with that neither of us have thought of that would work for both of us?
And you mentioned that little hinge word that you constantly remind us of, and.
If we just allow and into our vernacular, our jargon, it's so much easier.
Give us an example.
How can we find a way that we can both have what we want, that you can have what you want and I can still have this? How can we find a way that you can go, we'll have a good social night with your friends, and I still get a break? How can we find a way that we can still have time together and time alone? And the minute you allow that in, there's some answers that'll come out.
This next tip is an interesting one. You want us to look to our history to shape our past, but didn't our history get us here in the first place?
Yeah, you'd think so, except like, for example, when we were first dating, you were so in love, you always talked, oh my gosh, When you were so in love, we always had time together. How come it was when we were first married that we were always touching each other, and we always talked, and we always listened? We always used to do it. So in our past, there's examples, and it's a big pile heap of stuff that used to work. So I suggest, if you want to find some solutions quickly, go back to that pile and uncover the pile and start noticing what used to work. What did we used to do? When was this issue that we have no longer, or when was it never a problem? And you'll go back and you'll find examples of where you found time together. We used to go on walks. My wife and I used to go on walks every day after work from 5 to 6:30 or something. We would go on a walk. We haven't gone on walks forever now. So that was a solution that might be able to be brought into today.
Right.
And you can find it anywhere in the past. And it may not even have been your past. How did my mom and dad do this in the past? How have other families and friends I know solved this problem that has stumped us?
It requires, though, almost, I would imagine, some routine forgiveness, meaning it's so easy to look back and say, yes, but, right? We went on those walks, but now. And then
we make up an excuse about how now is so different.
Right.
So if you couldn't go back and you couldn't find anything, then find something today. When have we had an opportunity to do the thing we've wanted to do, whether it's being together or communicating better, and start noticing today, in today's day and age, when do I see it actually happening? The minute I see it happening today, guess what? Then I can start to actually take the issues from our past, open up my eyes to what's going on now and working now. One of the problems is I get so biased to my spouse when she becomes my enemy on this issue, that I only look at her negatively on this issue.
That's a big word, bias.
We're totally biased. Humans become very biased on what you think is going against you. So I become biased, so I don't even look for all of the other positive things on my wife about this issue. I don't notice that, of course we don't have time, but we make time. I only notice when she doesn't make time for me.
Right.
And instead, I might notice there's a million other times we have time that I don't take advantage of. Like, I don't take advantage of the fact that once we're done eating dinner, all the kids leave and run away, and my wife and I have time right then. And I don't even see that time because I want the time later on in the evening. Or I want the time Saturdays when we go, I want to go on a bike ride together. And I'm so biased that it's got to be on that Saturday to have the time with her that I lose the time that's right here, right now.
You also say our imaginations, as a couple, our imaginations can play a huge role in helping us move forward.
This is one of the great tricks of being a human, is you can imagine stuff that doesn't exist.
Just imagine.
Just imagine it. You can actually go forward in your life. So imagine I fixed this problem. And so this is what I have couples do. Is I sit them down and I say, let's just say the problem's fixed.
It's gone away.
If it's fixed and you leave my office and it's now fixed, I want you to imagine what would be different. So your husband comes home from work and now you are talking a lot more and more effectively. What would it look like? Well, he would come in and he'd put his keys down and he'd hug me and he'd kiss me and we'd sit and I'd get him a drink and we'd sit and we'd talk for 20 minutes before all the kids come home.
And does that really kickstart kind of a rip the Band-Aid off moment?
Part of what it does is it starts creating solutions. If you can imagine what it would look like when it was fixed, you're going to have 50 other ideas of what you would do, because instead of fighting about what's broken, start imagining what it would look like fixed. And if you imagine it together, then what you're going to come up with are 50 things I can do. Now I know when I come home, I could put my keys down, turn to my wife, give her a hug, and sit at the counter and we could talk. Or we could make dinner together. And we could come up with 50 or 60 examples of what our imagination thinks would look like if it was fixed.
Really, all of this comes down to a perspective shift.
It's all a shift. And it's a tiny shift.
Yeah.
Tiny.
Listen, he's the best. You are a great coach. You coach couples through this, and now you're coaching other coaches.
We're coaching coaches. You got to go to Coach with Matt. We're starting a brand new group this week. We're going to do an orientation. So call immediately. And it's awesome. We just are finished with our first group. They're incredible. They're ready. Tons of time we've spent with them, and they're locked and loaded, which means we can help a lot of people now. So if you need help, also go to coachwithmatt.com or matttownsend.com.
Spreading the goodness. Thank you, Matt.
Changing the world.
Coming up.